Hello and welcome. I'm Johanna and I live in a cottage in a tiny village in rural Sweden. It's finally time for us to start building our cut flower garden and to sow flowers and vegetables. But before we got to work, Nils and I enjoyed the season's first breakfast on the patio, overlooking our garden, where the over 1,000 bulbs that I planted last autumn is finally starting to bloom. My first mission was to sort out the abundance of seeds that have accumulated over the years. We have taken a 2-year break from sowing. 2 years ago we decided to spend the summer organizing our wedding, and last summer we spent 3 weeks on our belated honeymoon in Scotland, but that didn't stop me from buying seeds. This spring was no different. I simply do not have the ability to walk past a seed aisle and not buy anything. So here we are. I am sorting them into categories of what to sow now and what can wait. While I was doing that, Nils took out the garden tiller to smooth out the ground where the flower beds will be and to get rid of the ankle-twisting holes in the ground. Then I started waking up my new dahlias. We had a problem with the heating in the garage this winter, where it got too hot, and before we noticed it, my dahlias had dried up. It was a sad moment, so now I have bought 9 new ones. When I buy new dahlias, I like to use the bag that they come in. I add some soil and let them sit in a sunlit window. When the first shoots show, I start to water them a little bit and move them to a cooler room. Then it was time for the seeds. I have 3 of these trays that I fill with soil and push down. I start with 1 tray of onions, planting 3 seeds in every hole. Then I did the same with the beets. In the last tray I put broccoli, different cabbages and cauliflower. I cover everything in a thin layer of sowing soil and water. Nils and I are in no way professional. We are beginners, and this is more of a first step towards a more self-sufficient life. The next step in the cut flower garden was to go over everything with a rake before covering the ground and measure out where the beds will go. We have built these out of actual beds that we took out while renovating our guest apartment. We covered the ground in bark. Nils went back on tour, but I had 2 more days off, so I continued on. Against the barn there is this big pile of old garden stones, so I took some to make a small area in the center, big enough for a table and 2 chairs. This will hopefully be a very nice place to sit when the arches for the clinging plants are up, and maybe we will add some decorative lighting. Then it was time to fill up the beds. In the bottom I used old twigs and sticks that we had saved from pruning the apple trees last year, and an old Christmas tree. For the next layer I went into the barn and gathered some old hay. This is too old to feed to animals, so we use it in the garden instead. Then lastly it was time for soil and compost. Then it was finally time to start sowing. In one of the beds I'm sowing a whole box of yellow peas. These will be eaten as shoots, and when the weather gets warmer and the risk of frost is over, this bed will also continue different salads. In the other beds I sow cosmos, poppies and zinnias, where I will continue to sow new seeds, so I will have fresh flowers for the whole summer.